Ugh, am I about to lay in to you guys? And here is why. There are a lot of different platforms that you guys communicate with me on, right? Whether it's social media channels or the forums in my app, or there's a little private Facebook group. And sometimes you think I'm not watching, but I am watching, actually, pretty closely. And I see your comments, right? And there's even some of you that report directly to me. And I get this weekly check-in. And it's like, well, last week wasn't a really good week, but I'm not quitting. And maybe you think like, well, why aren't you happy they're not quitting? Because quitting is not on the table. Quitting is not an option. So what do you mean you're not quitting? This is it. One body. It's all you get your whole life. You're not quitting? When you call into work sick, or you miss a deadline, or you have a major screw up with your kids and a huge parenting fail that you're like, oh God, I really shit the bed on that one. Do you quit the job? Do you say like, I can no longer be your mother because I've done such a crappy job this week? No, that is not what happens. Quitting this isn't an opt-out, right? It's not on the table. And the mere fact that so many of you think like, I screwed up, I had a bad week, as though that's not to be expected, as though that's not perfectly normal, as though that's not part of everyday life. Shit happens, and you're human, as am I. We don't react perfectly. That's why we're human. We're not perfect, right? So when things happen and we have a response that could be better, the whole idea here is if you want to beat yourself up, go ahead. Go ahead, beat yourself up. But let's look at it like this. When you are busy beating yourself up, what you're really saying is that you know you're capable of more and you know you're deserving of more. So, okay, great. Tomorrow's a new day, right? It's a new day and you can make a new choice. And sometimes we get so discouraged and so overwhelmed and so shut down. You might have a bad week. You might have a bad month. You might have a bad year. You may have had a bad decade. There is nobody that I have been unable to help turn their health around at any stage in life. 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70. With any obesity-related condition you can imagine. What happened? They changed their mind. Point being, it's never too late ever to change your mind, but you don't get to opt out. It's not a thing, right? So in the same way, you don't give up on your kids or your significant other or your parents or whatever it might be. You don't get to give up on your health ever. You're allowed to fail. You're allowed to fall down. You're allowed to be behind the 8 ball. But I mean, I've said this to you guys 1,000 times. You get a flat tire. You do not get out of the car and slash the other 3 tires and then fuck it, light the car on fire. No, this is not a Will Smith movie where the whole thing's burning in the background. This isn't how it goes. This is not the zero fucks generation. Absolutely not. You need to give a fuck, sorry. And they need to be really important ones that you care about. Your health being the top priority. It doesn't mean you'll get it perfect. It doesn't mean that you won't have bad days, but that's to be expected. I need you to shift your perspective and go, well, I had a bad week. Okay. There are days where you'll lose ground. There are days where I celebrate holding my ground, and that's a victory, right? And the days where I lose ground, I don't beat myself up over it. I literally take that much more care, give myself that much more nurturing and love. What would you do if your best friend had a crap day? Would you be like, oh boy, you really screwed the pooch here. You need to just opt out and give up. And when you say, I'm not going to give up, you know you mean yet. Maybe a few more screw-ups and I'm going to give up. No, it's not a thing. So, I get those comments and then it's like, oh, I'm losing motivation. Motivation and inspiration are 2 different things, okay? Inspiration is somebody, some story, something you heard or saw outside of yourself that inspired you. Sorry, that's inspiration, right? I'm inspired by her story, her talk, that book, that show, whatever. And it's like jump-starting a dead car battery. But to keep that car on the road and keep the battery recharging itself, that's motivation. Motivation comes from inside of you. And you've potentially heard me talk about this or write about this. That's your why, right? You've got the why to live for, you can tolerate the how. And the how is the work and the sacrifice associated with the goal. Anything in life is going to be work. It just is. Anything worth having is work. Don't try to hack it. There is no hack, man. It is work, period. But work that has a purpose can become a passion. Work that doesn't have a purpose feels punishing, and life is punishing enough. So when you get discouraged, think about what is your why, right? Stop and think about all the ways that the quality of your life will improve if you have this chicken salad today instead of that pizza for dinner, or if you do 20 minutes of exercise in your living room instead of like sitting on your butt the entire day, right? And even if you can't manage the 20, but you get up and you do 7 or you do 10, or you can't do that really, but you opted not to have the soda with lunch, like every little thing is a victory. Celebrate it. Every step in the right direction is a step in the right direction. Every ounce of ground you don't lose is a win. And when you do lose, you give to yourself more. You're that much more loving with yourself. So what is your why? Do you want to honor somebody you lost to cancer so you live your healthiest possible life? Do you want to walk your great-granddaughter down the aisle? Do you want to wear a 2-piece instead of a 1-piece? It doesn't matter how profound or how superficial, as long as it matters to you. And it doesn't matter if you have a bad day, a bad week, a bad month, or a bad year. It's a Friends song, for God's sake. It doesn't matter, because there's ups and there's downs. But the thing is, you are in this for the long haul. You're going to the finish line with this body. So you can never, ever give up on it. It isn't an option. So take that whole psychology of you've got the option of giving up out. You don't have the option. You will get up and you will do battle for your health every single day. So help me God. And I promise you, you're capable. And I promise you, you're worth it. And I promise you, you are deserving. So take a minute and think about your why and get yourself focused and get back on the horse.